everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
I can actually sing this one for real this time. It's the most wonderful time.
Oh, is this the second time that's popped up?
The second time this has popped up. The first time I got yelled at by Burke. It's and Michelle. Both of them were very upset at me for singing that early. So
I have this very strict rule about Christmas after Thanksgiving.
well, I mean, it is after Thanksgiving and it is Christmas time. So you know
It
what?
is.
I did it. I killed it.
It fits.
It's accepted now.
Craig, do you like Christmas music?
Well, here's the thing. Not really. It's one of those things where, again, it's not that I actively am like, oh, don't ever play Christmas music in front of me, but just don't expect me to get excited when you do play Christmas music in front of me.
You're a mean one.
I guess part of it is it feels like a lot of them are. This kind of goes back to the conversation we've had about the character May in Overwatch, Brian. So much of it seems like just so completely like blissfully
adorable. I'm sorry, May is Bay. What? Huh? What?
That's one word you can use for it, but it just seems
cute,
innocent or naive. There we go. Naive is kind of what the word I was going for. It just seems so blissfully naive, and I get that's part of the season, and it's the Christmas time. People that celebrate Christmas, it's all about it's all about children receiving presents for the most part, like the commercial aspect of it, and that's the huge part of it. And so like a lot of the songs kind of play to that, or it plays to other things. And so it's just, I don't know. I don't find a big enjoyment out of it because the music is so like hoppy. I don't know how to put it. Like it's either hoppy or somber. And I don't necessarily like either one of those. Where I don't know. It's so hard for me to explain because
it's kind of polarized where it's either too light and happy or it's too like, where, the dun 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 dun, that darker kind of thing.
First of all, Carol of the Bells is probably one of the good ones. I like Carol of the Bells in almost all of its variations, especially when you start getting to like the August Burns Red metal version, which is wildly popular, or the Trans-Siberian Orchestra's version of it. Again, wildly popular. Those are really great. And even the originals are really good. Anyway, but like, I don't know. Like I have the same thing with pop music, like popular music, where it's just it's got too much of a structured beat to it the entire time. And that's how the Christmas music feels to me. Anyway, and so to make this great, my wife not too long ago found tickets to a couple of artists she really loves. One of them was Kelly Clarkson. And like second on the bill is Reba McEntire. And so those are two of her, like, I'm not joking. If she'd been a little bit different, she'd been one of those people that would have broken down and cried just seeing them like on stage type thing. Like she loves them that much, both of them. And they are literally doing a concert together. And so she flipped out. We bought tickets immediately. And so we're getting there, we're heading there, and we get to the arena. And I'm looking up and I'm like, there's a lot of like Christmas themes in these posters they've got up everywhere. We get in there. We get in there and all the signs and stuff. It's like Kelly Clarkson's Christmas Winter Wonderland Christmas theme thing. Like, they're all that. Like that's all it is all these things about basically, I can't remember the exact words were, but it's basically it's just like Kelly Clarkson's Christmas, ha ha ha, we got you.
Ho ho ho, we got you, more like it. Welcome to the podcast.
So we get in there and we find out it literally is just a Christmas concert. All they're doing, and it was the thing is, it was really cool because they brought in, I don't know any of these people, but I understand the gravity of it is they brought in all these famous people for Nashville. So it's like a bunch of country stars, all these like really famous people that have been on and won The Voice, or obviously Kelly Clarkson won American Idol. And so other people that have run American Idol, people from the show, Nashville, the country music show, basically, like all these people on there, these really famous singers, they all came on and they all sang their favorite Christmas songs. But it was one of those things where neither one of us actually knew. She thought she was going to a like Kelly Clarkson and Reba McEntire concert. It turned into, and it's a really cool event because it's like kind of a for charity type thing. The whole time they're raising money to give to different organizations and stuff like that while doing these Christmas songs. And it's
that's nice.
And it's this huge production. I'm talking like there's probably like a 25 person band behind them, strings and percussion and all this stuff, and they're all doing different things. And it ended up like the presentation, everything was really cool. The music, could not have cared less for. I seriously knew like 3 songs, and that's when I realized I was like, man, I am not a fan of Christmas music. Like, I'm not an active fan of Christmas music because I only know 3 of these songs. One of them was All I Want for Christmas Is You, Carol of the Bells, and I think Rudolph.
They didn't do Little Drummer Boy. Somebody had to have done Little Drummer Boy.
Nobody did Little Drummer Boy. They did do Jingle Bell Rock. They did Jingle Bell Rock, but this might be blasphemy to my wife, but it was actually a really terrible version of it because it was just piano and Reba McEntire doing it, and the rest of them had like these full band sounds, and it was just like bing bing bing, just the piano in the background, like comparatively where you just heard for an hour beforehand, like this full band with, backup singers and all this stuff. And then it was like, hey, look, there's 2 people.
Well, I mean, sometimes I like those almost a little bit more occasionally because, when you get the singer and if it's a person who's actually singing like Reba McEntire, like she doesn't use like auto-tune or any sort of like backing track. It's really just her. So like I can understand how that would be pretty cool to see though.
I think it kind of hurt though also that she's trying to follow Kelly Clarkson and her voice is like absolutely stupid good. And there was a couple others. There's a country I'll call them band, but group called like Brooks and Dunn, right?
Yeah.
Dunn. He was there. And he came out and he sang I'll Be Home for Christmas. And it was just him and I think a couple instruments in there. And that was really cool. Like that sounded really good. I guess I'm thinking I'm figuring out, and hopefully my wife doesn't hear me. I don't know if I like Reba McEntire's voice. So,
well, I mean, she's one of the most popular country singers as far as like a lot of people like her. So if you don't like her voice, living where you live, they probably don't want to say that outside of your walls.
No, I don't like country music and country voices very much at all. Like I always laugh when I listen to country music, mostly because of the voices, just the way they sing. It makes me giggle.
It's that twang, that southern drawl.
Yeah. How does everybody else feel about Christmas music?
I love Christmas music after Thanksgiving.
Do you have a favorite?
My favorites are Carol of the Bells and Little Drummer Boy.
See, I knew you were going to be a Little Drummer Boy fan. A lot of people like that song. My mom absolutely just adores that song. Like that's her. Like every year, like my mom's like, oh, here's Little Drummer Boy. Like she just always manages to play it or whatever. It's her favorite thing. So it's funny. You guys both knew like the Carol of the Bells like by name, and I'm like, that song that plays in Home Alone, like when he's setting up all the traps. Like I mean, it's that one, But I don't know. It's kind of funny because as far as I'm concerned, I love pretty much all Christmas music. I won't just put it on to listen to it. Like if it's on at a party or if it's on at a store, I'm like, oh, this is nice, but I won't actively seek it out, But there's one song that I do take special note of, and that is I go out of my way to avoid it. And you guys are gonna have to help me with the name of it, but it's the song that goes, giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, let's go, let's look at the snow. That one. What is that song called?
No idea.
You were riding in a wonderland of snow.
I know of the song, but I don't really listen to it.
And it's the song that goes, the chestnut. They go, chestnuts, pop, pop, pop. And I'm like, I hate that song so much. Everything about it is offensive to my ears. It's got like, I like songs with a bit of a march to them, but like this version of it, or like the version that they play.
Is it called Sleigh Ride?
Yeah, it might be. That sounds right. Oh my God, I hate that song so much. It's like every time I hear it, I just get enraged. And it's one of those things where like I just see red every time I hear that song. So like
is it because it's Christmas out, so you see red and maybe
green? No, it's because every time I hear that song, it just makes me angry, man. Like if you listen to the lyrics of the song itself, they're stupid to begin with, but they're stupid for even a Christmas song. Like Christmas music in general is like, man, we like the snow, man, we love sharing and community or whatever. This one is just like we like noise for the sound of noise. It's like it reminds me of if a toddler wrote a Christmas song and they were like, what do I say about like Christmas? They go chestnuts, and they go pop pop pop, and I'm like, that doesn't go. Like the song doesn't work on any level. It doesn't make you feel anything good. It just makes me, I hate it so much. But other than that, I love Christmas music. you'd be hard pressed to find anything that I even have a fraction of the hate for.
I don't even really notice Christmas music when I'm out, when we're out and about, unless if I'm somewhere for an extended period of time. Like we were over at the Verizon store the other day trying to get Sarah set up with a new phone and whatnot. And we were there for like 2.5 hours, something like that. Because first of all, I want to let you know, living next to a large mall, I live within about, I think, a mile of a large mall, a very large mall, probably one of the more popular malls around here. And trying to drive at any time during December is absolutely terrible around my house. I'm talking like you're just backed up for a mile trying to turn right into a road that you would normally, it would take you 15 seconds to get to. It takes me like 15 minutes now.
Oh, you should just walk to it then. You could probably get there faster.
Literally, I think you could get there faster. Like, I think I'm not joking. I think it's possible on the ones that are pretty close by, because since we live so close to the mall, once you get past the point of you're going into the mall, you're good. So it's like you go up, and if I'm wanting to get over towards, I'm like, and I squeaked by. It takes me about 10 minutes to get to that point, but then it might take me 5 minutes to travel 4 times the distance, after that. And the Verizon store is right there as well. So everybody's in that store. And that's one of the only times that I actually noticed the Christmas music, because we were in there for so long. I was like, I've actually heard this before. Oh my gosh, this is what you people deal with that have to listen to this all day? This is terrible.
Well, and there's about a dozen good Christmas songs, and then all the other ones are just variants of other people singing those same 12 songs. And so it feels roughly like you hear them over and over and over again. You're like, this is Little Drummer Boy, but this time it's done by Justin Bieber. It's like, God dang it.
Yeah, and then it's like a lot of retail places too, like the places that have music, they don't really listen to like other radio stations. They have like a specific playlist that's made for them by like their corporate headquarters, and they have to listen to that playlist over and over and over. So eventually it does start looping.
That's true. When I worked at Express many years ago, that like during the holiday season, that's what they had, was they had 3 discs that the corporate sent them. They were like, okay, so Mondays you play disc 1, Tuesdays disc 2, Thursday,
and Wednesdays we wear pink.
Really? Did you just make a Mean Girls reference?
I don't know why that got me so hard.
God dang it. Oh God, Craig broke himself.
Oh, that was good. High five, Craig. Tell yourself high five.
Oh man, Lindsay Lohan would be proud. Or Tina Fey. I don't know which one would be prouder.
Oh, I'd rather it be Tina Fey. I look up to her.
I mean, Tina Fey wrote it.
Yeah. So it's probably
perfect.
Be her.
So I do look up to her then. I'm still recovering.
Well, while you recover, I guess I'll, if it's okay, I'll introduce our topic for the day, which we've already somewhat begun to talk about.
Thanksgiving.
Hey!
Yay!
Happy Easter, everyone. It's Christmas. No, today's topic is Christmas and all things related to it. So in other words, Christmas music was a good start, and we're going to kind of jump into, Christmas memories and things about Christmas we both love and hate and so on. Does anyone want to lead us off with anything specific, or do you want to do?
Yeah, I want to see what everybody's general traditions are around this time of year. And I'll get going just to make sure everybody kind of knows where I'm going with it. Like for us, for my entire life, all the way up until about, I would say 5-ish years ago, there was a very specific set of traditions that we did have.
The more guidelines than rules.
we had a set of things. I guess maybe not till 5 years ago. For the majority of my like childhood, up until I was probably 15, 16, somewhere like in high school. Before then, it was always we'd go to my grandparents' house, or my grandparents would come over to our house. My mom's parents would come over to our house on Christmas Eve, and that's when we'd open all the presents from that set of grandparents. And family. Actually, all presents from family that wasn't like from my parents or quote Santa Claus. Those were all opened on Christmas Eve.
Wait, what did you mean by that?
Those were all opened on Christmas Eve. And what we always ended up doing is there's a place on Bristol Road in Flint, Michigan. It's called Latina's. It's an Italian restaurant. And every single year we'd get Stromboli from there. Everybody would get Stromboli. That's like just what we did, is we'd get this Stromboli for Christmas Eve to have with my grandparents when they were over, and we'd open up all of the presents from the extended family. The next morning, wake up, tear into presents, and then it was go over to those grandparents' place where we'd meet up with everybody. And when I was younger, it was a lot bigger of an event. As I've said, the later on, the traditions kind of ran out the window to a point in terms of where we went. We never went to the same place. But then we'd always go over to their place for the actual Christmas event. But the thing that always got me, and the thing that we've kept since then, is whenever I'm with my family, because now we're splitting time between my family and Sarah's family on holidays. Whenever with my family on Christmas Eve, we always end up getting Stromboli still. Like Stromboli or some kind of Italian restaurant. And we've kind of stretched from that. Some people will get a pizza and stuff like that from the same place, but it's always like Stromboli. With the whole group gets it. And it's really fun. I don't know why I really like that one, but I really like that little tradition because it's just different than what I guess I think a lot of people would have. Like, yeah, when I think Christmas, I think Stromboli.
It is different, but I mean, that's not a bad one.
Mine's actually pretty similar to where most of my childhood.
You have Stromboli too?
No, I did have something that's not traditional though. But my childhood routines have kind of drifted off, as well as people have like grown up, moved away, and blah blah blah. But I had the same situation where like we did the same thing every single year. But actually, instead of Stromboli for Christmas, my mom actually makes chili. Because
I love chili.
She got sick of like, what'd she say? She said 1 year when we were kids, I think it was probably like the first Christmas in the house that her and my stepdad bought. She, spent all day on Christmas making like what you would call a traditional Christmas dinner, which is just Thanksgiving 2.0. And she spent all day making it, and like nobody wanted anything because we just wanted to play with our toy. So she was kind of, okay, screw you guys. And so from then on, she started making chili because she just up in the morning, she throws it in the crock pot, and then like a few years later, people can just literally eat whenever they want. And
that's pretty awesome.
So now that's one of our favorite things, is because like we're just like, oh, we're hungry. Like I grab a bowl of chili and still come play my new video game, or whatever. So it's kind of our like unique thing. People always look at me weird, and I'm like, I love it. It's easy, and it's But I had a situation too, like the day before Christmas Eve, my one aunt and uncle and cousin would come down, and it was the cousins that I was closest to, and they would come down the day before Christmas Eve. We would hang out, the adults would get drunk, the rest of us would play games. And then the next morning I would have to go to the mall with my cousins because they were last minute shoppers. I think I talked about that in the shopping episode. Mm-hmm. And then we would all go to my grandmother's house, and eventually later it became my aunt's house when my grandma's house got too small for my gigantic family. Anyone under the age of 17 would get like presents from all the aunts and uncles. And since my family is so huge, the adults would do, at Thanksgiving, we would do a drawing for somebody, and then you would give the present to whoever you drew.
Oh, so it was like the elephant gift or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah, kind of. But we knew who it was. Like we all knew who got each other.
I gotcha.
It was just to save money, because like, I mean, my stepdad has 8 brothers and sisters, and then they're all married. So that's 16 adults there. So that they didn't have to buy for 15 other adults. Everybody just draws one, and that includes any cousins and stuff that were over 18 as well.
Yeah, does that mean?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna ask. Does that mean that there was ever a time where, like, people drawing each other's names, where was there like the one guy or the one girl that you're like, don't pick me, because they always bought really crappy gifts or knockoff stuff that you were like, oh no.
No, it was more like there was just a couple people that you didn't want to draw because they were the kinds of people who wouldn't like have no idea what to get them, because it was like they wouldn't appreciate anything, or like, they were just really difficult to buy for, or they wanted something really super specific and you couldn't find it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
No, I mean, I never got anything like terrible like that. Like I loved it.
Yeah, I only had a white elephant. I went to party for a white elephant gift thing one time, and I had a cold at that time, and ironically, I got the best gift ever, which was a big jar of potpourri. Like as part of it, it's like because it's you don't know what you're gonna get, and I got the potpourri jar, and people were like, it's like, oh hey, do you want to trade? I'm like, nope. I'm like, and I said, I lied and said, oh, this is for my mom. I'm totally going to take this for my mom. What I was doing was I put my nose right in it and I just pretty much huff it. And what would happen was it would clear my sinuses instantly. So like, I was using it to breathe all night. I was like, oh, this is wonderful.
I got the horse mask from a white elephant once.
We're doing a white elephant gift for Sarah's family.
Oh, really?
For this year, yeah. So technically, for those that don't know, we filmed this before Christmas, even though this is airing after. But so we're still going through and putting it together. But what we're doing is we're going to do a series of headshots of me, and we're going to put them in frames and give them out with me signing them.
Nice.
So that's
that.
That's what we're doing on that one. So we're going to have fun with it. Ryan, what are some of the traditions that you have?
I know this is going to come as a big shock to everybody who's listening, but I have very specific traditions that I do every single year since I was a small child. I know.
Ryan and routine?
My God, I know. This is one of those things where everybody's, shock and awe at this point. But so basically, here's the gist of it. The whole tradition begins on Thanksgiving. Actually, after we've eaten dinner, I mentioned before my family's very small, so we are at my grandma's house. We have Thanksgiving, and then afterward, we are responsible for writing down what we want for Christmas on a list. This is your one shot. If you screw it up there, you're probably not going to get it, because what happens is we write down what we want for Christmas. The next day, a few people go out and do Black Friday shopping, all that fun stuff, and then we get the shopping is done relatively early in December. On Christmas Eve, we go back to my grandma's house, the same one that we had Thanksgiving at there, and we do the gifts from the family. So basically, like between cousins, aunt and uncle kind of thing. Like it's literally there's 4 boys. I'm the oldest of the 4 grandsons. And then obviously there's my parents and then their parents, and that's it. So like it's a very small group. So we do the exchanging of gifts there, and kind of speaking to Craig there, I know he has Stromboli, but we always have pizza, and we have it delivered to the house. And as a kid, that was a big deal because we never would have pizza delivered ever. So like us seeing a delivery boy as a kid was like a big treat, and we would all fight to see who could give him the money kind of thing and get the pizza from him. So anyway, we still do that. We don't really care about the delivery, like that whole event, but we still do it every year, and we get pizzas on Christmas Eve and all that.
I want to see video of you and Mike fighting over who gives the money for the pizza delivery.
It was a big deal.
No, I mean this year.
Oh, this year.
I want to see this year's you two fighting. Like I want Taylor to record you two fighting for who's gonna give the delivery boy the money.
Oh my
this
God!
Year.
You know what?
This is a challenge thrown down.
Okay, you know what? Just remind me, and I will, and I'll have Taylor film it for sure because that's worth it.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Good.
But the point is that we do that on the Christmas Eve, and then obviously Christmas Day is gifts, but that are really more like direct family centric, meaning like Mike and I to our parents and our parents to us kind of gifts. And then we have like a really nice, I'm going to call it dinner, when my grandma comes over for that. So basically to give her a break, she comes over and enjoys that kind of thing. So that's our usual routine anyway for Christmas.
Okay. So what about, your favorite or most memorable gift that you've gotten during the season?
That's an easy one. I'm going to go ahead and jump on that first. So the favorite gift is the same thing as my favorite Christmas memory, which is the Nintendo 64. It was the greatest Christmas.
Mine too.
Really? It was the greatest Christmas of my entire life. I'd say it was 1997? Was that it? 6 or 7, whatever, doesn't matter. The point is that it had just come out relatively soon before that. I got that for for Christmas, and my grandparents came over to the house on that Christmas day, and with them they brought 2 additional controllers as presents, but they never bring presents because we already opened them the night before, so it was like double present at that point. So we had the Nintendo 64 and 4 controllers. And I just remember sitting down in the living room. We got to hook it up in the living room, which was a big deal at that time. We were never allowed to have video games in the living room. We hooked it up there and got to play on a whole, maybe it was a 24-inch TV, which is the biggest TV in the house at the time. And we got to play it on that. And what made it special, though, was that my dad and my grandfather played with us, and we played Mario Kart. And to give you guys an idea, both those guys never, ever really touched any of the video games, especially my dad. And it was such a big deal for to play a game with them, and they were because they were fascinated by the 3D, and we were really into it, and we were racing. And I remember they were just driving into the walls and couldn't get off the wall because they couldn't figure out how to steer this thing, and it was literally just magic. I don't know how else to describe it, but that right there, and the Nintendo 64, unquestionably best gift I ever got.
Michelle, you said yours was similar?
Yep. Almost the same story. So the cousins that would come the day before Christmas Eve, we would frequently go to their house and stay the weekend. And both of our families had an NES, and our parents were both really adamant that they were not going to get a Super Nintendo or basically any console ever again. But then my cousins got the N64 pretty much at launch. So whenever I would get to go to his house, that's when I would get to play it. So I always looked forward to it. And my parents and his parents would my parents kind of played some games, my stepdad more so. And his parents didn't really play many of them at all, but they would kick us off the N64 to play games. So I spent the next 2 years after launch, super hopeful, we'll get an N64 because they want to play it too. We'll finally get it. So Christmas of 96, we didn't get it. Christmas of 97, we still didn't get it. And then come Christmas of 98, I'm oh my God, we really have to get this soon, or, I was pretty much going to decide that we weren't going to get it if another Christmas went by. So Christmas of 98, we all of our presents and no Nintendo 64. And I'm super disappointed. I'm just I'm trying to pretend that I enjoy it because I still love Christmas. Inside, I'm just sulked. We're never going to get an N64.
You just cried. Oh no, I'm picturing sad young Michelle just sitting there. Thanks.
I'm only ever gonna get to play it at Jonathan's house. This isn't fair. I'm super upset, and I don't know exactly how much time passes by. Then my stepdad comes out, and he's I found a secret hidden present. So he comes out with this huge list of things from parents' room, and he divides it up among us. Open it at the same time, and it's an N64, 3 extra controllers, and 5 games. Mario Kart, Yoshi's Story, Quake 64, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, and Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Oh wow, that's a lineup.
That's a good. Oh, that's a good. Great. That's a good haul.
So the other games I hadn't really heard of, but we had played Mario at my cousin's house, so my family immediately hooked up, and we spent the next few hours playing Mario Kart, and I was super curious about Ocarina of Time because at that time the only Zelda game I had ever played was Zelda 2. So I was really curious to see what a different Zelda game be like, and so I finally got to play it, and obviously now we all know I'm super obsessed with it. So that was definitely my favorite Christmas.
Only slightly. My favorite gift it's right in the same vein. My favorite moment, because the 64, when it came out, we did the Black Friday thing. That's the only time I've done the Black Friday thing where we got up at holy crap o'clock to go do the Black Friday thing, and we went to go get a Nintendo 64 for Christmas, and we go through, and I'm sick, and I can tell I'm sick, but I'm I have to get this Nintendo 64. So this is 1996, right? When it first launched in the US?
Yes.
If I'm correct on that. Yeah, 1996 is the North American release on some stupid day called September 29th.
Yay, birthday.
So we go out on the we go out on Black Friday after it releases to go get one, because I've heard so much about it. I've read, I used to get the gaming, not a gaming magazine, not like a Nintendo Power, but like whatever the Game Informer of the day was. I don't know what it was called. But there was some magazine I used to get that was just all a different game, all systems and whatnot. And it was talking about how awesome it was and stuff. So we finally go out and we're out at, this is when Black Friday wasn't like crazy in terms of like you line up the night before. We just got there at 5 a.m. or whatever it was to kind of get in line. And that's when I realized like, this is nuts. I'm never doing this again because it was people sprinting. And I was one of the people. I sprinted back to the back to make sure I got myself a Nintendo 64. We sprint back to the back of a Target on Miller Road in Flint, Michigan, sprint all the way back to the back, grab the 64, we check out with it. And then on the way home, that's when I was like, okay, I've done my duty. And I basically passed out in the back. I end up having 103 temperature during this whole thing. And I had this massive, massive headache. I remember laying in my bed and feeling so sick. For the next, like, I slept all the way, like, through the day, all the way till about, 6 at night or something like that. And I was still pretty sick, but I was at least under drugs and feeling a little bit better. But even with the drugs, I was still like, and couldn't really do much. And this is what, 4th grade, I think? 4th grade is 96. And I talk him into, I'm like, I'm so sick. I spent so much time trying to obviously I did nothing besides like sit there and watch my dad purchase this whole thing. Like he's the one that made everything actually happen. But I talked him into, I was like, I should be able to play it right now if I want. And so they let me open it up and plug it in. It's supposed to be for Christmas.
Oh my God. You're such a bum.
I talk about, and this gets worse when I get older, as you guys, as Brian knows at least.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
So I talk him into letting me have it there. Oddly enough, that was just my Nintendo 64 story of how I conned my parents into letting me open the present early, like a month early, and play Super Mario or the Mario 64 the whole time. But my favorite Christmas memory was actually a Christmas Eve, and we are sitting there, and it was kind of the same thing. I look over, and usually my grandparents were pretty generous with their gifts in terms of, like, because as a kid, you don't recognize value, you recognize number in terms of like how many gifts you had. And right. I remember being kind of disappointed. And I'm old enough to kind of understand value, but I'm still not exactly there. It's 1998. I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, I got one gift from my grandparents. That's it. And again, I'm not thinking about what's potentially inside this gift to make it, they're usually, again, pretty generous with their gifts. And it's usually, I'd get like 3 or 4 or 5 things from them. I was like, why did I only get one gift? I was like, this is kind of weird. And I remember kind of being
bad that year.
I was bad that year. And that's kind of the thought process that you could have taken with it.
I was kidding.
No, that's the thought process you could have taken with it because I only had one gift. I was like, what? This is really weird, but I was still at the age where I understood like I should be thankful for this. This is still a gift they're getting me. And I ripped it open and it was just Ocarina of Time. That's the only thing they got me that year. And I like flipped out because I was so pumped up. It had just come out, in November of that year. And I was so pumped up. The only Zelda game that I had played up to that point was Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. So again, this was kind of like my introduction to like the structure of a Zelda story, even though that Link's Awakening kind of has that structure as well, since it's based off of Link to the Past, but it still felt like the first time I had the Zelda structure in my head. And I remember just freaking out and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And one of the other reasons why it's such a powerful memory to me is because after they left, it's 9 o'clock or whatever it was. I had we had just moved into my house into Goodrich. We had lived in Swartz Creek beforehand. This is all places in Michigan if you guys want to Google things. We had just moved into our house in Goodrich. And we like literally didn't have furniture still. Like in my room was my bed. And then in the corner, I had hooked up my 64 and I had a 9-inch TV. It's just on the ground. We had a 9-inch TV at the time that I hooked up my 64 to. And that's what I played my games on. It was just in the corner of my room. So I had my bed and in the corner was that. And I remember plugging that thing in and playing like I mean, to me, it wasn't all. To me, it felt like all night. Granted, it's probably only till like 1 or 2 in the morning when I just passed out because I'm still a child. But I played for so long playing that game and like didn't even get out of the Deku, the Deku tree. Just playing, like searching around, cutting, grabbing things, finding. Yeah. I found that because I remember I found the slingshot in the first night, and I thought like, holy crap, I'm flying through this game. And I played for so long, and it was just my favorite memory because I remember just being like so happy when I opened that up, and then the rest of the time like playing it the rest of that. Like, and again, it's one of these things I feel bad for now, but like the entire rest of the night until my grandparents left, I was like, I want to play. I don't want to talk to these people anymore. I want to play. And then I did. Well, I went upstairs. And like, I remember I was lying on my bed. My bed's kind of high at the time, for at least maybe for me. And so I tilted my TV against the wall so I could see it from my bed and lay in bed and play.
Well, and that actually brings up a good point, because for me, a lot of the gifts were based around, like a lot of the gifts were, as far as games wise, especially, were multiplayer, right? Because I shared the systems with my brother, but also I shared them with Tony as I got older, because what happened is that we'd have all these games and we'd have people come over, like it was always like Tony, Mike and I would always play all these games, right? So for years, especially during the GameCube era, it was literally just like brand new game. Tony was over the next day. Like it's like, cause like we would all come together and like compile like all the stuff that we got for games. Like, okay, you got this, we got this. Let's now we can use the systems, we can use the controllers, we can play the games, and it was just like this whole like, I'm going to call it community thing, but it was kind of like that, where you not only had people to play with, but you had like more stuff because other people were bringing it over, you know, which. I say all that because I also you when you were explaining that about your your parents and grandparents about giving the big gifts or whatever, it made me have a kind of a realization moment. My parents always did a move that I didn't recognize until I got older, which was they would save the best gift to say it was from them and not Santa. So like Santa would give me all this like cool stuff as a kid, but the best gift, like the Nintendo 64 and all that was my parents' gift to us. You know what I mean? So like at the end of the day, Santa's cool, but the hero was the parents, you know?
That is brilliant.
It was genius on their part. And I was like, my God, that was like I didn't realize it until I was older, but I'm like, man, that was hell of a good move on their part. And, I mean, granted, obviously, we don't have to dance around this, do we? I know you kind of said it earlier, but you would have to dance around this. We don't have young people listening to this.
I hope not.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So kids, if you're listening, don't. So I was going to ask you guys about when you found out, or if you remember distinctly any moments where it's like the Santa's not real moments. Because I have a few vivid memories, so I was just curious if you guys did.
I definitely do.
Michelle, and what was yours?
Okay, so mine stems from the fact that my parents divorced when I was so young. So my parents divorced when I was 4, and both of them were remarried by the time I was 6. So every year, like, I would have 2 Christmases because there would be Christmas at Dad's and Christmas at Mom's. I was probably about 6 or 7 when I started noticing that the handwriting on the tags at Dad's house looked suspiciously like Dad's handwriting, and the writing on the tags at Mom's house suspiciously looked like Mom's handwriting.
Oh, Michelle's doing CSI shit.
So it was just kind of like one of those things like, that's really weird. Like, why isn't the handwriting the same? But I never said anything. And even at that time, like, I didn't say anything. I just kind of went along with it. And then a couple of years later, a few weeks prior to Christmas, my sisters and I think were playing hide and seek or something. And I went into the laundry room and I closed the door, and behind the laundry room door, like, I found a closet that I literally didn't know existed. So I was like, oh, they don't know it's going to exist. So I hid there and there was stuff in it. And I was like, oh, that's weird that there's just random stuff in this closet, like some books and games and stuff. And then on Christmas Day, like, we're opening gifts. I'm like, I've seen this stuff before.
You're doing like a flashback thing. I
confessed to my mom. I was like, Mom, I didn't mean to find your hiding place. I think I did. So, and that was kind of when I just got the confirmation, the silent confirmation, like, don't say anything to your younger siblings. So I never did. But like, my mom's still obsessed with the idea. Like, she signs our gifts from Santa, even though she knows that we obviously do not believe Santa. I mean, it makes sense because of nephew and niece. But even when they weren't around, like, we would still sign gifts from Santa and sign gifts from herself too.
Yeah, and that actually, my mom does the exact same thing in that one about still signing it from Santa. Craig, do you have a memory on that one?
Okay, one, it's kind of funny because your parents are still signing things from Santa, and my dad just PayPal'd me my Christmas gift. It says "Love, Dad." Because they asked, they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, I'm a grown adult, and I buy my things throughout the year when they come up, and I want them for the most part. And so, like, I don't save anything. Like, oh, I want to get this, but I don't want to spend money on it. And then there are things that are definitely like that. But I go, if I'm not willing to spend money on it, how much do I really need it? And okay, well, because I'm doing well enough where I can buy the things that I do want when I want them. So I'm like, just give me money so I can decide if I need to spend this on like rent next month or something. Or, I guess it's not rent, it's a mortgage, but just give me the money for it so I can allocate it as I need. And so I know a lot of people are probably upset with me because I don't do like the gift thing, but I'm like, just PayPal me. It's so much easier. But yeah, there was a specific time, again, I was about 5 years old, and I remember I had to go to the bathroom when it was late at night on Christmas Eve. And I honestly, like, in all honesty, I wasn't thinking about it's Christmas Eve, I might walk in on Santa delivering gifts. It was, I have to go to the bathroom and I don't want to piss the bed, right?
So I got bold choice.
So I got up and I remember hearing things and I went, like, in my head, again, I'm half asleep and I'm not really thinking about it, and I hear things like going on in the living room where the tree was, because I lived up on a second floor, my bedroom was up on the second floor of our house, and so when I went to the bathroom, I could just walk a couple feet away from the bathroom and look over the railing to see what was going on in our living room. And I looked over and I saw like my mom and dad wrapping presents and like signing, like I specifically saw my mom like writing something on it, on a present, and then my dad was like trying to wrap things. And so I remember I was like, okay, what in the world did I just walk in on? And I went to the bathroom and I went back to bed. And I remember that was the first time I went like, why were they putting things under there? And then suspiciously, when I brought something up, like sometime in the next, couple months, probably, that I said something, suspiciously the next year we started getting presents from my mother and father. Like, it was signed Mom and Dad, this one's from Santa, this one's from Mom and Dad. And so I think they were trying to like starting to weighing that out to where it was, kind of like what you said, where some presents were from Mom and Dad, some were from Santa. And that's when my sister and I went, Santa's handwriting is exactly like Mom's. Like, to the letter. I can literally, because my mom's got like this really distinct handwriting. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It is the most distinct handwriting I've ever seen in my life. It's perfectly legible. It's like very elegant and swoopy. But it's not even confusing when you're looking at it as a child to be able to read it. Like, it's ridiculous. And Santa's using the same exact handwriting. My sister and I were going like, okay, this is bullshit. Something's up here. Either Santa's really lazy or Mom and Dad are doing the gifts for this. And so it was probably like 6 or 7 that we me when I was 6 or 7, or maybe my sister knew. And then that was her way of kind of like pushing me into the know as well. Cause I remember it being very early when I figured out like, nope, there's no Santa.
see, oh, that's so funny. Like, you say like, my mom had like this distinct handwriting, and I actually have a distinct memory of being in the car with my mom at a bank around Christmas time. And she had a list in front of her, and it was all written in cursive, and it was the Christmas list, like, of all the toys that we were going to be getting that year. But because it was in cursive, I couldn't read it. And I turned to her and I go, I'm going to crack this code someday.
And you still haven't cracked it.
No, not yet. That's still on my list of to-dos. But it's funny because like my parents like to this day still have never officially like confirmed nor denied the fact that there is or is not a Santa kind of thing, because it even when we like essentially figured it, when we figured it out, my mom just keeps repeating the mantra of, well, if you don't believe, you can't receive. And we're like, yeah, but like we know it's you. And she's like, right, but if you don't believe, you can't receive. We're like, okay, thanks, Santa. And then so we like on Christmas, when you open up presents, we look right at her and go, thank you, Santa. It's like, oh, I'm sure Santa had to work really hard to get up very early in the morning for this one. And we have conversations in the third person about Santa Claus still. but I remember really just quick little story here. I remember when I was in, God dang, I would have been in middle school, something like that. We were all in the gym for like an assembly or something like that. And somebody walks in, or I'd say one of the kids walks in and grabs one of the orange traffic cones that were out there and uses it as a megaphone and goes, "Attention, sixth graders! Santa is not real. I repeat, Santa is not real."
This is in middle school.
This is in middle school.
I don't remember this.
I swear to God, this is a real thing that happened.
We all went to the same middle school. I don't remember this.
I swear to God, this happened. There's no way that I just made up this memory. Like, I promise you this happened. Maybe it wasn't like the whole school or something. Maybe it was just like the gym class, or maybe it was like during a lunch break or something. I don't know. But the point is that they sat there, and it was at when the high school and middle school were still combined in that other gym, not the big one. Obviously, the
auxiliary gym.
The auxiliary gym. Yeah, that was where it was. And they were, attention, this is Santa is not real. Your parents have been lying to you. And I just remember losing my shit. And it was the funniest thing.
That's funny.
But the other thing, one other quick story is that because I was the oldest of four, when I figured it out, I had to like still pretend for years, you know, and I had the most fun with the youngest one. Hilarious. I would the stuff we would do to like sell the story of Santa. Like we were looking outside like the bay windows at my grandparents' house, you know, there was a plane going overhead, and he's like, and he just freaks the hell out. And I'm like, oh my God, there he is. And he's like, oh, Santa. And it's the elf thing where he's just screaming and yelling, you know? Oh my God, it was hilarious. And I was like, that
is awesome.
Oh yeah. So I was selling it right with him. I was jumping up and down like, here he is. You see Rudolph's nose blinking? And it's the wing. And I'm like,
it was great. Oh my God!
Oh, it was the wing.
It was the wing of the plane. But I was like, "Holy crap!" You know, Santa. Oh man!
All right, so I have a question for you guys. So you know how every year there's like the one thing that people want and have a hard time finding. Maybe not one thing. Maybe it's like a couple things. Yes. So I was actually going to ask, because working into like every year I always see like, you know, that toy, and this year it's this thing called a Hatchimal, which is literally just a Furby that's in an egg that you hatch, and people are going freaking nuts over this thing.
They're losing their shit.
And the NES,
what does it do?
It's a Furby that's in an egg, so you hatch the egg and then you have a Furby. I mean, it's not like literally a Furby, it's just the same exact concept. It's a talking animal.
But I mean, like, when you say hatch it, like, is that like a plastic and it pops open, or what?
I don't know how the thing. I could care less, to be honest with you.
Okay. No,
I'm just saying, like, people are like
understand.
losing their shit over it. And then that the NES Classic, because you know you can't find that thing either. But I was just curious if anybody ever wanted like that toy, because I know I had one instance. And I can tell you that my parents did not do what these parents are doing for these stupid Hatchimals.
Other than video game systems, no. I like when all that, like, the crazes would come around, whether it be a Tamagotchi or a Tickle Me Elmos or whatever. I guess I was the wrong ages for whatever the item of the year was. But like video game systems are the only exception to that rule. So like a brand new system comes out, that would be the one thing that.
Yeah, so like a lot of times I got systems like a year or two afterwards. So for me, it would never be like, I never wanted something that was hard to find. The exception for me is actually Pokemon Yellow. But Whereas these parents are like at stores at 3 a.m. hoping that the shipment that comes in is going to have this item they want and hoping that they'll be the first in line to get it. My parents wrote me a note that said, "We'll get you game after Christmas." And then but literally, I think we went to Target like the day after or maybe 2 days after Christmas, and then there was like 30 copies. We had no problem finding it.
Wow. Yeah, the only thing I've ever done, like I was telling earlier, was just the 64. It was the only thing I went through and we actually had to try and get. And that was not to, grab and sell or anything. We just wanted to get the 64.
I looked it up, by the way. This is called Fuzzy Wonders or something.
No, it's called Hatchimal.
Yeah.
Okay, because the Hatchim, I googled that, and it looks like it's essentially just shitty little egg that like you remember those sponges that you would throw in the water and then it would inflate. That's what.
Yep.
Oh wait, that's it.
Yeah, it just looks like a little fur guy. Yeah, because one of the buddies that I play games with, Brian, you've talked to him. His name's Jeff. He's gone through and he found a group of them. He's bought them and he's like, I'm basically paying for Christmas by selling these things back off.
What the hell is this thing? This is
no idea.
How did none of it makes any sense? Because once it's hatched, you can't put the stuff back
right,
on.
and then you're just like you have a stuffed animal that acts like Kirby.
Yep.
Well, that's just stupid. Then you can't. If it's a toy, you can play with one time. That doesn't work.
I mean, you continue to interact with it, but the hatching you can only do one time.
The hatching happens once, and then you interact with it like you would any other.
Stuffed animal,
stuffed animal toy from there on out. But you know what is hatching right now is the quiz that I wrote.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
I did something crazy. There is no number answers in this quiz.
Oh my god! So
that
is the 0 out of 10.
That was the hardest thing because there's only 2 of you and I didn't want it to do anything. So I hopefully I made it where you're going to get a couple of them just because of the context clues in the thing itself. So we're going to go through and get this done this way. Anyway. All right. So you guys ready? Number 1. Many children every year write letters to Santa Claus and put them into the mail. And there are many services that will read and write back as Santa. But if no specific address is given, if it just says Santa Claus, where do these letters go?
Where do the letters go?
Yes, where do they deliver the letters to if there's no specific address?
But is there an order, by the way?
Yes, whichever of you wants to answer first.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
I will happily answer first, and it goes to the circle file, aka the garbage.
Okay.
I am going to say that it goes to a local school.
So the answer is Santa Claus, Indiana.
Oh no!
There's a service
I knew
there.
that was a town too.
Yeah, they set something up to where, granted, I think a lot of them end up probably getting thrown away or something, but the ones that, the workers that do push them through, they end up going to Santa Claus, Indiana, where there is a service there where they will try and respond to as many letters to children as possible.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yep. And there's like a really big one. There's like the North Pole, Alaska is another big service. So if people say like to the North Pole and they don't put Santa Claus, it will go there. But if people just say to Santa Claus, it will end up going to Santa Claus,
I have
Indiana.
one of those really unique letters from Santa Claus that nobody else ever has.
Yeah.
Boy,
printed with a stamp.
And has the certain penmanship that you were describing
It's
earlier.
typed.
Wait, Santa has a PC? Santa's up there. It's like, oh man, not even Santa Claus like pays for the.
I mean, the signature is handwritten, but the rest of the letter is typed.
I'm just picturing Santa on the windwire sipping. He's like, would you like to buy it? He's like, not at this time. Sorry.
All right, here we go. Question number 2. Christmas time always brings about Christmas music, as we talked about before. One of these songs has gone above and beyond, becoming the best-selling single of all time. Not Christmas song of all time, the best-selling single of all time.
I know the answer to this.
What is the song? You don't have to give the artist. Just what's the song?
All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey.
Yep, that's it.
It is White Christmas by Bing Crosby.
Oh, shit.
What?
By a landslide. This thing has everything beaten.
Really?
What?
Yes.
I don't even like that song. So, okay, actually, speaking of Christmas traditions, real quick story on this. There's this stupid ass Flash animation that has singing reindeer, and they sing that song, and my stepdad is obsessed with this thing, which is probably why I hate this song. And every year at Christmas, especially the drunker he gets, he plays it more and more and louder and louder. It's just like, it's the most irritating thing to me, and that just like reminded me that happens every year.
Yeah, so Bing Crosby's White Christmas has sold 50 million copies. The second best song of all time is Elton John's Candle in the Wind, and Something About the Way You Look Tonight, which sold 33 million
you're not
copies.
Even close, damn.
No, and then Bing Crosby's Silent Night is 30 million copies, and then Mungo Jerry's In the Summertime is 30 million copies.
Wow.
So, I mean, it is way up there. Lately, of the last, 10, 15 years, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You is the most played song, but of all time, it's Bing Crosby, because he released it in 1942 and has been,
He's had a few years
been
to
selling
get
ever
ahead.
since. There's a couple years to get it there, so it's way up there. All right, number 3, Paul McCartney earns nearly $500,000 every single year from his Christmas song, which many critics regard as his worst song ever. What song is this?
Oh shit.
I literally have no idea.
Me either, Michelle. So I'll go ahead and jump on the sword first here. That would be his song called Santa Baby 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I don't even have an answer.
Neither did I, if you couldn't tell.
All right, well, I'll just say it's Wonderful Christmas Time. I just thought it was interesting that critics consider it his worst song of all time, and he still makes $500,000 every year on it.
Yeah, and they had a lot to pick from. Sick burn on Paul McCartney.
Christmas time always brings about traditions, and some traditions are watching specific TV shows or movies. In Sweden, the large population watches a certain Disney cartoon on Christmas Eve. Which character do they watch?
Ooh. A Disney cartoon. I want to say Scrooge McDuck. Because they do the, I'm guessing it's that one, because that's my favorite one.
Say that. I'll go with Donald Duck.
It is Donald Duck.
No!
It is Donald Duck. They've been watching Donald Duck since the 60s. It's called the title is called Kalle Anka ons Hans Vanner Oscar Goldjul. I can't speak in Swedish, but it translates to Donald Duck and his friends wish you a Merry Christmas. It's declined in recent years to Sweden's population. Only 4 million people watch this every year. Just to let you know, it's declined from that, and they only have 9 million people in their country.
Wow.
So it's declined to just under half.
I mean, honestly, I consider Donald Duck, but I decided against it because he's outlawed in Finland or something
because he doesn't
Is
wear
he
pants.
really?
Well, actually, that's not the reason. Although it's similar. It's because although his garb is very similar to their sailors, but it's his bad attitude that they're like, that's not us.
Wow. All right, number 5. During Christmas time in 1914, there was a truce held between Germany and the UK. They decorated their shelters, exchanged gifts across the no man's land, and played what game against each other?
I know this one.
All right, Michelle?
I am going to guess pass.
I think the answer is soccer.
It is. It is football or soccer.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a friendly betwixt them.
There's actually a movie about this.
Is it really?
Yeah, I believe so. I just saw it recently that there was a whole it's pretty fascinating.
Crazy. All right, number 6. In 1867, a Boston industrialist heard Charles Dickens read A Christmas Carol and was so moved that he closed his factory on Christmas Day and gave every one of his employees a what?
I'm going to guess a goose.
I was gonna say a Christmas dinner.
Okay, so I am going to. Brian, you're probably gonna hate me. I'm gonna give Michelle a half point on this one because it was a turkey. And I really want there to be a winner, so I doubt there's going to be a 0.5 to someone else. So she's going to get a half point, but it was a turkey. They gave everybody a turkey. Number 7, for 88% of the world's population, world comes during the winter. And this, but this isn't the reason why everything was stressed as a white Christmas. Do you know the reason why? During Christmas carols. Sorry, I didn't put that, but.
So during Christmas carols, they say white Christmas, but that's not because of the snow, you're saying?
It's not specifically just because it's wintertime. There's a reason why they stressed it being a white Christmas in so many Christmas carols.
I'm going to guess purity? Like white represents purity?
Okay.
I honestly, I don't have a clue. I always thought it was for snow.
It is for snow, but between the 16th and 19th centuries, they were going through a mini ice age or a little ice age, and the temperatures were quite a bit lower or several degrees lower than normal on average. And so around that time during Christmas time, it was always heavily snowing because of how much colder it was throughout and so when a lot of these carols were written during that time, were all about how white the Christmas was because it was always packed with snow everywhere. I just thought that was really interesting.
I gotcha. Oh, yeah, that is interesting.
All right, so here's one that you guys should be able to get. I'm assuming you should be able to get. Number 8, the Nazi Party tried to turn Christmas into a non-religious holiday celebrating the coming of Hitler. They wanted to replace St. Nicholas with what Norse god?
With what Norse god?
Yes.
Oh boy. I'll say Odin.
I'll go with Thor.
It was Odin.
Yeah.
And they were going to put swastikas on top of their trees.
Wow. Festive.
Very festive. Speaking of the Nazis, in World War II, POWs were still allowed to receive some gifts. The American company Bicycle gave a gift that would not only entertain, but if it was soaked in water, would reveal an escape route. What was this gift?
Oh, wow. The American company Bicycle sent over a gift that had a secret escape route if you soaked it in water.
Yes. The big clue, American company Bicycle.
Oh. Okay, I think I know the answer, so I'm going to wait.
Playing cards.
Yep.
Playing cards it is. They were given playing cards. So like when you'd soak it, it would show them like, here's how you get out of this whole situation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's ingenious. And the Nazis never figured it out. Or at least they didn't figure it out in time.
USA.
All right, number 10. What American fast food restaurant is a traditional Christmas meal in Japan?
Oh, I know this one for sure. 100%. I know this one.
McDonald's.
It's KFC.
It is KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Thanks to a successful marketing campaign about 40 years ago, KFC is so popular, customers need to place their Christmas orders 2 months in advance to get the meal.
Yeah, they marketed it as like, oh, in America, everybody eats KFC. They're like, oh, well, I guess we should try it.
All right, here's one that's going to be a little bit more difficult, or at least I wouldn't have picked this up on my own. You guys might know it, but I found it interesting. Who declared the official celebration of the birthday of Christ? So who was like, December 25th, dude, that's when we're doing this. I will take title or I'll take name.
See, okay. I'll tip my hand as far as what I'm thinking because it doesn't like at the end of the day it's still a guess. I'm either thinking like a one of the Roman emperor type guys, or I'm thinking of the Pope. But I'm gonna say the Pope because sure.
All right.
I was gonna guess Charlemagne.
It is Pope Julius I, Bishop of Rome in AD 350. So I'll give it to Brian.
Yeah, I would not have gotten the specifics of which Pope it was because I'm not Catholic.
I wasn't going to try and get people to guess the actual name. I was going to give extra points if you knew the actual name, but I wasn't going to make you say Julius I.
Thank you.
All right. Number 12. In Poland legend, what insect wove a blanket, or excuse me, I guess I can't use insect. That's incorrect. What small creature wove a blanket for baby Jesus?
Guessing a spider.
It is a spider.
It's an arachnid.
Yes, I realized once I went through this because I found this little fact somewhere and I copy pasted it just over to my thing so I could have it, and it's not an insect. I was like, that's not an insect. I didn't pick it up when I was going through it. But yes, a spider. Spiders or spider webs are common Christmas tree decorations for Poland. Because of this legend, and the spider wove a blanket for baby Jesus. And in fact, Polish people consider spiders to be symbols of goodness and prosperity during Christmas time.
Huh.
Number 13, which state in the U.S. was the last to declare Christmas a legal holiday?
Ooh. Which state?
And I'll do this. Which southern state in the U.S. was the last to declare Christmas a legal holiday? It's still the last one to do it, but it is a southern state.
Really? A southern state was
a
one of the
southern
last
state.
ones?
That's kind of shocking.
It is. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll say Florida.
I'm gonna go with Alabama.
In my head, Michelle was closer by and many different things, but it was Oklahoma, which is a deeply religious state. And they were the last ones to declare Christmas a legal holiday. Oklahoma in 1907.
Yeah, neither of us were close, really. It's like on that one. That was Oklahoma, man. All
right. Number 14. This one, if you think of the big names, it's not a small name. It's a big name. So don't think too deeply into this. Which god was the precursor to Saint Nicholas?
Which god was the precursor to Saint Nicholas?
Mm-hmm. It's winter holiday, so you're thinking snow. Which snowy religious faction would give their god, or would people kind of pull their god from?
I'm gonna. Do I just say like the religion? I guess I'm a little confused. Or am I supposed to say the name
specific?
Of the god?
I was going for the specific god. I was just trying to help out with where these people might worship when they were in their time.
I'm gonna say Saint Nicholas, because I thought it was based on a saint. Like, I don't know. I honestly wouldn't know.
I mean, this has nothing to do with snow, but it was my guess before you gave that hint. I was actually going to say Hermes.
It's not Hermes, and it's not Saint Nicholas. It is Odin.
Odin again?
Odin again.
Huh?
I didn't want to put it right next to it because otherwise it felt like it would have been too
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the precursor to Saint Nicholas, and that's kind of where Germany got their, or where Hitler got his thing, was because it was originally Odin was in this. Because I mean, Christmas is just an amalgam of so many different holidays from different cultures, and they kind of just all squished them all together and made Christmas out of it.
Yeah.
And the Saint Nicholas idea was from Odin.
See, I always thought of Odin as a kind of a warmonger, like, you know, so he doesn't, in my head, like, he's not associated with like good tidings.
Yep, that's where they. I mean, Saint Nicholas was his own person, but like he was the precursor. He was the one I get you. The kind of gift giving, or whatever you want to say. It probably wasn't gift giving, but the idea of the holiday back in those days before they kind of made it over into a Christian holiday was an Odin's holiday. Because he was the son of Solstice, I think, if I remember the thing right. Or something along those lines. I could be a little wrong. All right, last question here. What country was there a first reference to a Christmas tree? And I'll give you a hint. It's in Europe.
So what European country was there a first reference to a Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Ooh, man. I'll just say Germany, because they've been the highlight today.
I'm going to guess France.
It was Germany.
I'd say I figured, because there's not, like, I was thinking about, like, where would a pine tree be located in Europe? And I'm like, well, it can't be on the, like Spain or anything. So.
Yep. So it is Germany. I don't really have too much else. I couldn't find what the actual, because it was they had something they found written talking about a Christmas tree, and I couldn't find what the exact thing was. It was just like, that was the fact. So I'm hoping it's right, first of all. But yeah, so that was that. And I don't know if you guys can tell, usually for the most part, my, unless it's a kind of a really eclectic quiz, most of my quizzes kind of have a general theme. Or at least they find themselves into
Nazis.
Mine was Nazi Germany during Christmas.
There you have it.
I guess this time, but I found a lot of facts surrounding that, so I tried to keep it all together that way so that it was maybe possible to jump back and forth. So the winner during this quiz is Brian with 7 points out of the 15. Michelle did have a 3.5 points during that one. So the 0.5 wasn't there, so I'm going to give her a full point, so it's 7-4.
Fair enough.
You guessed a different bird, which is completely wrong, Brian, and she guessed, dinner, and that's what it was they're giving a dinner away. So you were wrong on that one.
Yeah. That's I gotcha. So, I mean, hey, good tidings, right?
Good tidings, always good tidings, right?
No, so I gotta be honest with you though. That's pretty awesome that say that the guy went out and closed his factory and just gave out a bunch of birds like to everybody. That was pretty cool.
When I was reading, I was like, wow, somebody actually went through and it's funny because he heard Charles Dickens actually read it, and that's what made him go out and do it. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. It wasn't like he just read the story, but he heard him read it.
So what you're saying is, in this one real case, it's like ill will toward men got dunked on.
Happy holidays, everybody.